Hey guys, Dr. Brady here with Health Launch, and we're going to be doing a follow-up video from another video that we just did, where we're going to walk through some of those seated stretches that you can be doing at work, at home, at the office, wherever you might need it. If you start feeling some tightness in your hips or low back, feel free to turn on this video and go through and walk through these exercises together. I'm going to guide you through the whole step of the process. Now, before we get going with this video, if you feel like some of these stretches are more helpful than others and you want to sit in and kind of hold on to these stretches a little bit longer, always feel free to pause the video and continue holding those stretches as long as you need to. Okay guys, let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna sit up nice and tall, scoot a little bit forward on your seat so you're not hitting right against the backrest there. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna open up the low back a little bit. So we're just gonna take our hands on our knees, we're gonna turn one side, do a nice little stretch, turn to the other side, and we're just gonna go back and forth. So you're just gonna hold each side for about 2-3 seconds. And what we're trying to do is just warm up the low back. Anytime you do any sort of stretching routine, you always want to get a little bit of motion going into the muscles just to warm them up, loosen them up a little bit. So we're going to do this just for about 15-20 seconds here. Good. Okay, now that we've done that one, we're going to start doing our forward hip flexes. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to bring our knees together here, and you're going to bring your hands underneath your legs, and we're just going to reach our body down towards the floor. Now you're going to hold this stretch here. I'm just going to be guiding you through this one. Now, as you're going through this stretch, if you want to get a little bit more of an increase in the stretch, first thing you're going to do is you're actually going to tuck your chin down as you're sitting there in this stretch, really looking down towards the floor. And if that's still not enough, what you can do is you can actually squeeze your arms closer together to try to get a little bit more of that stretch in that low back. And if you need to hold this a little bit more, feel free to pause this video. But now the next thing we're going to do is we're now going to move into some of our hip stretches here. So the first thing we're going to do is you are going to take your hand here. Feel free to scoot back towards your chair a little bit if you need to. We're going to take our left leg to start. We're going to take our left foot, put it right over our right knee here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have that nice tall posture, chest nice and high. We're just going to put some slight pressure on our knee to engage the stretch. And if that's enough for you, that's where you're going to stop. We're just going to hold it right there. If you're not quite feeling it, I don't want you pushing that knee down to get more of a stretch. We're going to keep that tension there, chest nice and tall, leaning forward into that stretch, really feeling it in the back of the glutes back there. And we're just going to hold this for about 15-20 seconds. And if you want to hold it longer, if this is a really good stretch for you, you may want to go even longer, even 30 seconds or more if you need to. And if anytime you start feeling like any numbness or tingling going down your leg, always make sure you stop that stretch there. So we're just going to hold this for a couple more seconds here. Really getting that nice stretch in the glute. Remember, if you want to get more of a stretch, chest up, leaning forward on that. And then nice and easy now, we're going to transition to the next one. We're going to lift that foot up and down. Beautiful. Now we're going to go into the next one here. We're going to lift our right foot over our left knee on this one. Now, same thing with this one. We're going to put our hand on our right knee just to engage that stretch, not trying to crank it down. Sitting up nice and tall. And then leaning forward on that, really feeling that stretch in those glutes. We're gonna hold this one for about 30 seconds on this one. And again, with any of these, you wanna hold them a little bit longer, just pause the video. Now, the reason we don't wanna push our knee down with something like this is because it's gonna get too much tension and torsion in the hip. We really wanna engage the stretch in the glutes, in that piriformis back there. If we crank too much on our knee down, we're going to get more of a stretch in the knee, the IT band, and we don't want to put too much pressure on that. So really focusing on keeping the chest tall, keep leaning forward, a couple more seconds here. And good. And what we're going to do is nice and easy, release that down. Beautiful. Now we're going to go into our hamstring stretch. So we're going to scoot a little bit forward on our chair here. Get to the edge of your seat here. We're going to start with our left leg first on this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch our left leg out. Now you can't see my foot on this one, but I want you to think about before you engage in this stretch is to pull your toe up towards you, almost like you're trying to flex your toe up. So we're going to flex the toe up, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to reach down, making sure with this one, again, the goal is not to touch your toe. The goal is to get the stretch. So we're going to keep our body nice and tall, core engaged, and then we're just gonna lean forward trying to touch our toe. Now the reason is you wanna keep your body nice and tall. If you start trying to flop yourself forward in this stretch, you're gonna get too much of a pull in the low back. It creates compression in the low back, and that's just to touch your toe. The whole goal is we wanna get a nice stretch. So nice and tall, reaching down, pulling that toe towards your finger there, reaching down and trying to touch your toe on that one. And just reaching, getting that nice stretch in the hamstrings there. So hold on to that one for another 10 seconds or so, really feeling that stretch behind. Feel free to kind of twist your foot in and out, see if you start noticing more of a stretch in certain areas. And then we're gonna transition to the right side now. So with the right side here, we're gonna put our right side out on this one. Scoot forward a little bit if you need to. Remember, nice and tall on this. Pull the foot towards you, pull your toes towards you, and we're gonna reach down, feel a nice deep stretch. Now with these ones too, sometimes you'll feel them in the back of the knee, you'll feel them almost in the calves, and that's good. We're gonna get a really long stretch along what's called the fascia that goes along the muscles in the back of your leg. Really important to open those up too, and this is a great stretch too if you have any sort of sciatic nerve impingement. This is great for these there. So we're gonna hold this for another 15 seconds or so. And with these, you're really focusing on your breathing too. Really taking nice deep breaths in all the way out, just really trying to loosen into the stretch. With each breath, you're trying to go a little bit deeper with these stretches on that one. And great. Now the next one here. We're gonna sit back nice and tall again, and we're gonna do a couple more of those trunk twists just to kind of see how the low back's feeling. And it should feel a tiny bit looser in that low back. Should feel like it's starting to open up a little bit more. Sometimes you'll hear some clicks and pops as you go through. That's normal. We're not trying to get those. We're not trying to crank things around. Now, if you're pretty flexible and you need to get a little bit more of a stretch, feel free to grab the back of your chair, use your arm, and just stretch a little bit deeper if you're a little bit more flexible. For some of us, just twisting this way and that way is enough of a stretch for us. Now, the last ones we're gonna do is we're gonna go down onto the floor here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your chair, we're gonna slide it off to the side here, just to give us some balance and some stability on this. And then the first one is we're gonna go into a nice little cross stance here. Your left leg, knee, is gonna be down to the floor. Right leg's gonna be at 90 degrees, so the right foot is on the floor with this one. I'm gonna slide this over just a little bit. And then your toe is actually on the left foot is gonna be hitting the ground with this one. What we're gonna do is we're gonna stand up nice and tall and just lean forward, really trying to feel a stretch in the front of the hip down the leg. This is really where we wanna open this all up. Hip flexors, quads. Now the hip flexors and the quads are big muscles, so we're gonna hold this a little bit more than some of the other ones here. Good. Now this one again, sitting up nice and tall, nice deep breaths with this. Really focusing on taking deep breaths. It's gonna feel like a really deep stretch. The longer this stretch goes, the deeper it's gonna get for you. And because these are bigger muscles, you wanna hold on to them a little bit longer. Especially when we're sitting and we're in that 90-degree angle, this really needs to open up a lot more. And then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to the other side. So nice and easy back, switch legs. Coming up this way, this leg's gonna be up, bottom leg down. Make sure on your bottom leg, your toe is touching the ground just to get a little bit of that lift on the leg. And again, we're gonna be stretching with this one here. Really opening up the front, getting that deep in the hip flexors and the quads on this one. And we're gonna hold this one for about 15, 20 seconds. And again, with this one, we're gonna go a little bit longer probably. We'll probably even go to 30 seconds. And if you need to go even longer, if this is a really, really tight stretch for you, you're probably gonna wanna hold it closer to 45 minutes or 45 seconds or even a minute on this one. So just really feel that stretch open up. Nice deep breaths. Remember, stay nice and tall. And sometimes what you can do is you can lean back side to side and just see where you start to feel more of a pull. See where you start to feel that tightening. Wherever you start to feel that pull, just hold into that stretch a little bit longer too. Hey guys, thank you so much for following along with this stretching video. Hopefully this is helpful for you. If this is very helpful for you and you find that it helps you while you're at work, at home, make sure you save this video to watch it later anytime you start to feel these stretches become useful to you. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up down over there. And if you're new to this channel and you like content like this, make sure you click that red button to subscribe so you can stay access to more amazing content that we have coming your guys' way. I'll see you on the next episode.